wide selection of people. There'll be some people who haven't met each other before. So great. Hello everyone, and welcome to TVP UK Activism Brainstorming session this week. It's Monday, 14th of July, and we've got a whole bunch of people here, and we're going to go through basically asking the question, what can I do? What projects can we get behind? That kind of thing. So I'm Aidan. I'm a point of contact for the UK, and I've been around here for maybe a year and a half, something like that. There's me. I'll go through from what I see as left to right. So ads, you're next.
Yeah. Just been talking with you guys for the past like 3 months, isn't it? On the Trump series. Based in London.
Cool.
Yeah, that was it. Veg Fest. What time are you talking?
So I'm Aidan. I'm one of the contacts for UK. I've been around here for a year and a half, something like that. That's me. I'll go through from what I see left to right. That was insane, like. Oh, wow. I guess we'll just kind of say hello and everyone jump involved. Jump in whenever you want during this. It's kind of open brainstorming ideas. So we'll have good discussions throughout. Let's just kind of crack on into it, I guess. If we're having technical difficulties, hopefully we can just plow through. So first things I just wanted to say about kind of what can people get involved with, more for the recordings. I'm sure you guys mainly know this. So if people want to get involved, the first kind of thing is to volunteer, join a team. There's things like LTI Linguistics Team International, the TVP Media teams, TVP Education, any script writers, any film producers, all that stuff. TVP Activism, so points of contact like me running meetings like this. On the website, thevenusproject.com, there's a big Contact Us button on every page, I believe. And there's lots of different ways to contact us under that. And so you get through to the direct person, and it's really good for if you want to help in a very specific way under one of these teams. Someone say something? All right. Next one is join up through to the community on thevenusproject.com. There's an online community on there. It's really good because it's got a map. And so when you sign up, if you're okay giving away your latitude and longitude, your point will go on the map so people can find you, and you can also find other people that are local to your area. And you can also, through the map, find your nearest point of contact. So get in touch with them, see what's going on in your area. And just come to the meetings, learn, get involved with us here. Networking with people and all this kind of stuff helps us all in a great way. And also, kind of our team, we do various things, such as we've got a talk at Veg Fest going on later this year, which I'll be giving. It's on September 27th in London at the Kensington Arena. So if anyone is around there and wants to volunteer, maybe just like stand around in a white T-shirt that says the Venus Project on it, or give out some flyers, things like that. We could do with some people there on the day, and there's various other things which will probably come out of today. So those are some of the more obvious ways to get in touch and get involved. To do with this. Oh yeah, we've also got a whole list of the official Facebook pages, which we'll add to the document now. Thanks, Arnaud. For anyone who wants to get in touch with the various teams. So I guess I'll add that in there. List of pages. Okay. Oh, lag. Okay, and that was the kind of boring stuff at the start. Now we get on to some kind of creative ideas of what we can do just to kick it off, I was at a carnival last weekend, and there was people in like marching bands and or like little stalls on the side where people were giving out bits and pieces. There were people there going around with like, you know, you're all going to hell kind of stuff. So we could be there going around with like, everything's okay, there's this. So that was just like a crazy idea of going to carnivals, getting a few people together, dressing up, and just handing out some flyers, handing out some leaflets. So I'm going to add that to the ideas we've got in the document, and I'm going to kind of throw it open to anyone else for ideas they've come up with maybe in the week.
Yeah, but I'd like to add, last week, I forget his name, mentioned about making T-shirts and giving them out, you know, and beyond poverty, war, and, you know, politics, and putting them on T-shirts. I think that's a great idea, you know, because people do pay attention to what T-shirt you're wearing. And I think it's a really good way to people notice that it's a visual thing.
Yeah, that was what was that? It was Kyle. He'll be around in a bit, I think. Yes. Thanks, whoever's writing that down.
I won't do it.
Nice. Got some emails.
Oh.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know. For what it's worth, since we are throwing out things, the Venus Influential list still continues. More and more people are added on the list, so to speak. Not so to speak, it's an actual fucking list. Yeah, so people are added there, and I'm not sure. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's just, like, for instance, Robert Steele, the guy who I think is one of the main folks who founded the Open Source Manifesto. He, for instance, added. I basically wrote him an email, you know, nice enough, and he more or less just copied everything onto his blog or website, or I'm not sure what to call it. It's just a sort of his name on it. He looks after it. He adds information onto it, and yeah, lo and behold, it's there. Jacques' picture, the Venus Project, very short sort of blurb of, you know, the Venus Project offers such and such. It doesn't have to be paper proclamations, but offers a way of life, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's a different kind of interaction. Not always do they even reply, but when they do, it's good times. That's all for now.
That's good. Do you have the link to that, like, at hand? If you can put that in the doc.
Sure.
Cheers.
All right. I'll add it to the chat box as well as the actual agenda.
There's some talk going on in the thing about not just wearing T-shirts to say the Venus Project on them, maybe having like some sort of sorry, what was it? Like a uniform to wear during like volunteering projects and stuff, which is a good thing, a good topic. I was actually thinking, because I'm going volunteering abroad like towards the end of this year, I'm going to be bringing the Venus Project T-shirt, and I'm going to be wearing it as much as possible. While I'm out there, I'll probably need to buy a few more. I think, I don't know, in terms of uniform, how constricting, how like tight are you gonna go? There's the Zazzle store, and there's all the kind of, there's a whole bunch of like kind of default ones.
Does anybody know any clothes designers who might want to do it as a project in uni or something?
Well, one girl might. She's a designer. She doesn't quite get on with the Venus Project. I try.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they got to kind of warm to it, otherwise they just make some shit.
That's cool. Yeah, that's like, when I've got it in there, I'm just going to add that onto the idea of T-shirts, which is the Zazzle store, which is through the website. Does have like T-shirts already made that are approved by the Venus Project. And a percentage of the profits go back to the Venus Project as well, so you help and support them. if you buy your t-shirts through this. Or like official designs with all that stuff. I know you can kind of take some images and put them together to make your own t-shirts as well of the various things on the website, which is actually what I did. I put a different V on the front, and I really like that, the specific V I wanted. So yeah, the Zazzle store is pretty cool for that. A little bit of customization, but still using the official materials.
Okay.
But yeah, it's also not just t-shirts. They do hats and coasters and loads of stuff through that thing.
This is not an easy...
Let me just jump in here before I type myself to death here. It's not just a case of t-shirts, because think of the image that you're giving across. You know, if you want to give the kind of impression of some sort of professionalism, something that you're offering a better solution, then you're going to have to wear the garb of those who are professional within today's society. You're going to have to wear suits, and you're going to have to wear uniforms. You're going to have to look professional. You're going to have to look organized. You're going to have to look like you know what the hell you're talking about, and you know what the hell you're doing.
What? Every day?
So I go on Ludus.
No, I was just curious, what every day? I mean, I suppose the whole point of what this has been already referred to is, you know, when you actually go to speak to people who can provide resources such as wood or concrete or steel or copper or whatever the hell it is that, you know, a building, an actual city would need, for instance, that's when you kind of follow through with the suits. But, I mean, did you sort of propose that as a 24/7 type thing, or I don't think I understand.
No, it's more a case of that you would have different uniforms for different obvious kind of activities or functionalities that you're doing at the time. So if you're doing any kind of building work, or you're working in a canteen, or you're basically helping the homeless, or you whatever kind of public exposure you have, there should be a uniform which matches that and has the TVP emblem. And it shouldn't be over the top. It shouldn't be some massive, you know, Venus Project bloody symbol, which people just kind of go, well, what size is it? Some sort of fashion thing? No, it should be little subtle kind of emblems, you know, on the cuffs, on the shoulders, all these things. But it unifies the image of the Venus Project. So you turn it into more of a, yeah, I guess you could say it's military kind of style thing. But it's more a case of you're turning it into a subtle message. You're repeating that subtle message, and it's your actions which will speak louder than the words that you actually continue to speak. Because words could be forgotten, they can be misheard, they can be disillusioned, they could be misinterpreted. But your actions, whilst you're wearing those uniforms and you're acting on behalf of the Venus Project, and you're always saying that this is for the Venus Project, that will speak louder than any words you can possibly ever tell them.
I don't think it's a good idea thinking about it. If ever somebody wearing a Venus Project fucking thingy uniform got into a heated debate and then it went on YouTube, like, could make it look bad as well. Not just that, like thinking about last week's talk, aesthetics over utility. We're trying to change that around as well, aren't we? So maybe it's not about what we look like, and when we become uniformed as well, we become segregated, like a separate entity to everybody else. We're trying to unify everybody. So I mean, like,
yeah, I get that.
I don't want to look like a McDonald's.
I do get that, I understand that. However, you have to bring them towards that kind of understanding first. And if you're unable to kind of provide them with that example, the better example, and you're unable to basically bring the message across that you're representing the Venus Project, which is why people should be trained to kind of manage their emotions and their responses when they're talking to people, and not really get into any sort of heated debates, so they don't get into those situations, because you never know when you're going to be recorded, and you never know when somebody's going to find out that you're representing the Venus Project, regardless of whether you're wearing the garb or not. If you're talking about the Venus Project and you come out with some spurious or complete bollocks sort of a argument, then they're going to murder you in terms of the public image. That they are going to just tear you to pieces, and it's going to embarrass everyone. So we all need a bit of training in that regard.
So I think looking smart, you know, like I think it's a good idea to at least present ourselves well when we're presenting Venus Project, like dress smartly, not suit and tie smart, but just not looking, I don't know, like that in a way.
No, I was kind of thinking, you know, like the latter end of the Babylon 5, where they had those uniforms. It's all kind of one-piece uniforms, and it's white, and it's got the TVP maybe on the shoulder, and it kind of looks like you're being smart, you're being presentable, you're not being scruffy, you don't look scruffy at all. You're well shaven, you're clean. You look like the well-presented individual that you see every day, who is respected and people stop and listen to, as opposed to the scruffy guy who is, you know, they just walk past and they ignore.
Yeah.
But okay, so this really comes down to who you're talking to, and like you guys, like obviously, say my talk at VegFest, I'm going to be wearing a shirt. I'm not going to be wearing my Venus Project t-shirt because it is too scruffy. It's going to be recorded, that kind of thing. So for that context, it's better to be a shirt. But then again, it's VegFest. It's like on a healthy kind of, there's going to be a lot of metaphysical bullshit, healing stuff going on that day, and things like that. So at the same time, I think a proper suit would be very overboard for that kind of audience. So casual shirt, because that's what I think that audience might be able to see. Not too smart, but smart enough. And it depends where you're going, depends what you're doing. If you want to start doing is it Mormons? Going around door to door and speaking to people. It's not Mormons, is it? It's the other ones. Oh, that's bad. Anyway.
I wouldn't be invasive like the Mormons or the Jehovah's or any of that kind of thing. It's too much. But and as you say, uniform for its place. And obviously, if you're basically speaking to the choir, there's little point dressing up in the garb because it won't communicate to them. They're more used to the relaxed kind of outfits as such. They're not used to uniforms. They don't respond to those. But when you're talking to the everyday person in the street, they've been conditioned, as we know. We've all read the documents. We've all watched the videos. We've all seen how people are conditioned from a very young age to respond to this kind of rhetoric, this kind of authoritarian sort of discipline that we all have. We all respond to leader number one. We all respond to that person who's wearing the suit, who's wearing the garb, who's speaking clearly, and is basically looking like the professional.
And is also hated by the middle class. So I'm just saying, look, what you're really talking about, the root drive here, I guess, I don't know, is marketing, isn't it? But then if it's marketing, then probably it has to be done right. Needs research, needs... What's the equivalent of a big-titted girl in some convertible car that people flock to? What's the equivalent of that to the Venus Project? How are we gonna? What are we gonna sort of titillate frescoes, designs for, I don't know, transport and scalpels and eye devices and all that kind of shit? You know what I mean? It's not easy. So what you're saying is a very good starting platform, but it definitely requires all kinds of shit, man. I mean, marketing on its own, it's such a broad aspect nowadays. You can go from Facebook to Twitter to real life to precisely what we're talking about, t-shirt designs. But we need a person who knows what's up and what people actually respond to.
Yeah, and we all have aspects of that. Go on, I'll allow somebody else.
Yeah, I think looks matter to a certain extent, but the content always overrules it. If you have very long hair and a big beard, yeah, people are unlikely to listen. But if you fall into the category of normal, whatever that means, but the social norm of what most people see non-threatening or okay enough to listen to, then it all depends on your content and your delivery of how you send content.
Precisely, and it's about opening that door so you can actually speak to them and open that possibility so that they will actually look at the content that you're trying to basically bring across to them. Otherwise, they're just going to shut you down straight away. They're not even going to listen to you.
Yeah, but a suit isn't required for that opening phase. A lot of people will listen to you if you wear reasonable, normal clothes. A t-shirt doesn't have to be like scruffy or poor or anything. You don't need a suit per se. Depends very much on the audience. If you go to a big company to pitch the Venus Project, yeah, you better wear a suit. But if you go to a university full of students, you better wear t-shirts because it's more relatable.
Precisely, it's a uniform to match. It doesn't. I'm not talking about just suits. I'm talking about a uniform, as in something that matches your demographic, your target audience. Yeah.
All right. And I think the kind of the V, I think is really cool. But for what you were saying about like subtle things, maybe not so much a uniform. I know they have like iPhone cases. They have like keyrings, things like this. So you can get the little V out there. I went. That a random word is like what was it called? It's like green. Oh, you know when you paint spray a wall or something, tagging. Whatever, but you do it with like moss. So like you can go and do that with the V, and the Venus Project or something like.
Wouldn't
Just
people?
get the V out there.
Sorry to interrupt you, but wouldn't people associate it with V for Vendetta? Personally, I would. If I just see the V, yeah, I think of V of Vendetta first and Venus Project second.
Well, then it's an easy problem to solve. You just clarify what the V stands for, such as what these little logos represent on each of the activism teams. So there is a V support, V education, V blah blah blah. So clearly then V could, in its outer ring, the surrounding circle of the V, could just say the Venus Project, just for clarity purposes. Couldn't it?
Yeah, and the V is normally red, and it looks kind of like some sort of kind of victory sign as such. It looks like an anarchist symbol, whereas the Venus Project is more it's more contemporary. It's crisper. It's got the circle around it. It looks different to the V for Vendetta, but I do get where you're coming from, where there could be an association to V for Vendetta, but I doubt it.
Well, I think there will be for most people. Well, maybe not V for Vendetta, but most people when they first see that aren't going to go to Venus Project. That's not the idea. The idea is to start getting it out there, getting them used to these kind of. Isn't that how? This is my very rough idea of how marketing works. To get the kind of concepts out there before you then kind of hit them with the information.
Yeah, but you want to soften your market, get them used to the idea, get them used to the message first, and then as soon as they have that exposure, they can make the associations between your actions, your positive message. Yeah, but it needs to be in the mindset first, and this is why we have adverts like, Coke, who basically bomb us with all sorts of stuff, and then, eventually tell us something which is good about Coke, and then eventually we buy it. It's that kind of crap. Yeah.
Well, okay, we'll say the V, or maybe just the Venus Project. I was actually at this carnival, there was a chalkboard, so I went up and wrote the Venus Project on it, and just walked away. And I know, well, I don't encourage vandalism at all, but Mick wrote in the toilet something about the Venus Project, I believe, or go into a pub and write it on the dartboard, see what happens.
Yeah, well, considering that, go on.
Basically, what it is, I look at sort of humour. I think humour is very important in advertising. Personally, think that it could be sort of pictures rather than just have the V. And have like the fact that we're the most stupid species on the planet. Just have like money and stuff like that on one side of the T-shirt, then have the animals running away from it. Yeah, the animals still manage to, they still manage to eat, still manage to stay alive. They don't actually have money to go and buy stuff from the shop. It's sort of getting that aspect out as sort of a joke. Have a little bit of a humour there, rather than just have scripted logos.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what your view would be, but obviously, I think it might just be something we could look at.
Yeah, a little kind of tongue-in-cheek satire. I mean, that always goes down well. Yeah.
What about Kyle? Does anybody think Kyle should do some stand-up? Because he's quite funny.
No doubt. No doubt. That dude is funny, man.
For you that don't know Kyle, he's pretty good. He's a Welsh guy.
For you, those that don't know, just to reinforce Mick, I mean, just watch previous meets, I guess. You'll get an earful.
Yeah, definitely. Comedy stand-up.
But marketing is always about creating associations with a certain lifestyle. If you think about Coke, it's usually about your happy youth or drinking on a summer day, cooling off, and Apple is hip and cool. So how you're gonna build an association if it doesn't even have name recognition? It's quite hard. And
well, that was kind of my point with having a uniform for every sort of role that we perform. So when we're helping out communities, when we're doing volunteering, when we're talking to people, we have uniforms which give that message. It's subtle, but it's always there, and it's in every single role. And we kind of spread that message of the Venus Project, and we're all a community. You know, we're not an army, we're not out to get you, we're not out to convert you, we're not, you know, religious nutters. We're just here to basically help you. And if you basically say the Venus Project is here to help you and help everybody in every sort of situation that we possibly can, we become a message of good, and people start talking about that, and we'll become more social. You know, it'll just naturally happen. It'll be an emergence. Yeah.
Interesting. That's a lot of uniforms. That's the only thing that I'm thinking about. You know what I mean? We're all sort of like, I don't know, whatever. I'll speak for myself. I'm a dude with limited tokens at the moment, right? So, you know, talking about production of T-shirts and shit like that, who's the burden, so to speak, financially gonna fall on? You know what I mean?
Well, obviously, the community as a whole may be able to kind of pull together and start kind of, you know, at least ordering, you know, large sums of these kind of different types of uniforms. If we can provide the specifications for the uniforms, the different types of ones that we will need, then perhaps the community as a whole can then purchase those, and because they're buying in bulk, they'll get a discount, and therefore people who need them for a specific task. So you pick the role that you think you're always going to be wearing this uniform for, you know, whatever kind of thing are you going to be doing some extra work for your business? Are you going to be, you know, volunteering for your local school? Are you going to be, you know, down at the library, you know, doing some talks or something? Are you going to be, you know, helping out the local, you know, kitchen, you know, or anything like that? And then you pick the role that you think you're going to be wearing the uniform for, and then we'll provide you with the uniform you need. And you're always going to be sending that message across that you're part of that. And because it's not over the top, other people will be more inclined to allow you to wear it whilst you're doing other things for other companies.
The one thing I've sort of got a point on is, wasn't it Fresco's idea to actually remove the uniform and remove sort of structures as such, regimentation?
Yeah.
As you said in Paradise or Oblivion, it's quite contradicting when you're actually talking about uniforms.
It's more case
I can understand that you need to sell it.
You need a stepping stone, you know. You need to work within the confines of our current systems, kind of ideologies, our current system setup. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to communicate. There's going to be a miscommunication. We're going to look like a rabble as opposed to a force, you know, a force which is actually in harmony and community with one another. And the message that we're going to send is something of positivity. Is going to be something that we're adding to the community. We're trying to be a force for good, not a force for any sort of maligned effect as such.
Have you seen, what was it, Insanity or some shit like that.com, where I posted the link on Facebook. It's basically a satire attempt to, because you were saying, you know, we're attempting not to look like rebel. We already do, my man, more than enough. You were saying, you know, we're attempting not to look like rebel. We already do, my man, more than enough. Okay. Okay.
Guys, it all died again. Can you see me? Hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Oh god, something's not wrong with my computer today.
You claimed yourself again.
I think I left it in the sun, probably for the last 2 weeks. So never mind. Okay. I wanted to go back to something that I think it was Daniel said earlier in the chat box. I think he's still around. I can't see on my phone. But yeah, the idea was to contact universities, to do viewings and that kind of stuff, which is one that we did we did kind of push it a while back. Got a few viewings, I think, set up, but that kind of waylaid. So yeah, that's another big one that we can do, which is basically contact local universities, try and put up flyers, try and contact maybe film clubs to put on a video like Paradise or Oblivion or the new documentary that's coming out. The choice is ours. So that is a really good idea, and someone could add that to the agenda.
I have something else to share. Basically what I myself, I didn't let anybody know, only because I didn't know what the outcome would be, so there was no point in informing anyone. I'll attempt to express that easy with the feedback. Alright. The challenge was Cineworld Dream to Screen. And essentially, it allowed you to make a pitch, which is about a minute long, and it would be on video. You would fill in details and all that shit. And basically, if you won, it's like a contest. And if you won, you have, I think, a £2,500 sterling budget to make a short film about whatever subject it is that you pitched. I clearly pitched A Different World, as proposed by Jacques Fresco. I was informed that, yeah, you know, blah, 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 we're all impressed, but you didn't get through. So, but they did send me some links whereby other competitions of the same kind exist, and they sort of, you know, said, yeah, go ahead and try these other outlets. Maybe you'll get more luck. So essentially, I'll try to find the email. I'll try to paste it into the agenda. If I can find the email still within this discussion that we're having, then great. If not, then sorry. It's cluttered emails, not really too structured. That's all I got for now.
I think
emailed some organization. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, instead of, because people see labels, whether it's a religious label or any political label, and it drives them away, I think, to some extent when you're trying to reach out to people. And I don't disagree. I love the idea of being inspired. That's why I'm here, you know. But I think if we act more as individuals who are working towards the same good rather than the same umbrella, we have a better opportunity to reach. If you get what I mean, you know, what we can in our local communities and talking to people and introducing people we know with similar interests, so introducing people not like people that have the same kind of belief systems that people like us have, you know, bringing together the people who already share a similar vision to ourselves to make our group stronger, you know, targeting those that are ready to hear these things that haven't heard them maybe, or have a awareness, don't know how to face it. I think we've got to start with the people we can and then move on when we've got a stronger number of people who are willing to work together and independently to do something, you know, working in our local communities with young people, leaders tomorrow, I think, you know, things like that. If anyone's got any other points or anything that you thought about when I said that, then please go ahead.
Yeah, I think I get what you mean by once we put on a uniform, we become like a company boy. Like we're made to look like people that we're not. I mean, looking smart is key, obviously, but not too, I don't know, like a NASCAR driver who's just got fucking adverts all over it. We don't want that sort of shit. Like the sort of stuff like you were talking about earlier, like a hat or just a cap or something. That sounds alright.
I think David, what was it? Oh yeah, so one thing was what you kind of said was one thing that I thought about this week, which is that like the problem that I don't know about you guys that I'm facing. I'm pretty sure all you guys face the same thing. Is we basically live nowhere near each other, and so it's very hard to do things like completely solo. So yeah, like get out and get in contact with groups that are in your area. They're like doing things like, I know, make you go down the allotments. I think, David, you help out with the church doing bits and pieces. Help out and do these things and see if there's people who are willing to start coming and helping you with your things. And like the other thing, which is kind of like be yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like there'll be certain people which will be worth me going and speaking to because I've been through a similar background. So like I'm back in my parents' villages, so I want to go and try and speak to maybe the kids at the village hall because I used to go there, and like I can try and relate to them more than just randomly popping into a school that I've never been to and doing stuff.